Hello, and welcome back to the Pink House Mystery, Part 7. I'm Bruce Stott. Remember, we left off the last chapter talking about what happened with the boat as she sagged into the marshes and how her planks were given to members of her crew. And I'd like to also mention that today's set has some of the artifacts we've discussed in the past. But in the background, we have a painting done by my niece, Lauren Stott. It's a wintry scene with a rendition of what the porch used to look like. Let's begin. In a kind of phoenix analogy, a new beginning was celebrated a few feet away, with a wonderful wedding ceremony was conducted with over 100 attendees, followed by a woodman's catered lobster bait served under a tent, accompanied by a band. The Reverend William Carter of the Newbury First Parish Church administered the service. Words were said from a great fellow sailor and best man, Boston epidemiologist Dr. Jonathan Freeman. Former well-known Daily News photographer Bill Lane photographed our wedding and gifted us the photographs. It was a sunny day with an occasional plane flying overhead toward the airport landing strip across the creek. Traffic on the Turnpike Road to Plum Island honked. It's a mysterious story of a house in peril of being torn down by its owners, who have their reasons with respect. It's a story of a house with difficulty and in disrepair, looking forlorn and weary. A place prized by artists and bird lovers and tourists to drive by. A tourist attraction with a pink elephant rolled into one. A place that has become a cottage industry to local artisans, and now it can't be bought or sold in a time when housing is in high demand. A place so beloved by the public that tearing it down is tearing out a part of the town's personality. Just last week, $1 million was offered, or up to $1 million to be accurate, was offered to help save the house by an anonymous donor. That's how much it means to this town. It's truly ironic and perplexing to know the new owners of this property had their own employees staying in the house, renting rooms from us in the summers when we had lived there. Mom, ever enterprising, rented rooms to the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge employees for summer for more income. She always had an amicable relationship with the organization too. We would share stories with them in the evenings and spread maps out over the dining room table, where we also shared a meal on occasion. One could be mystified that after hoping the new owners would use and enjoy it and overcome obstacles we lived with all the time, and promote the use of the building and land, it's confounding to know the land and the house have not been utilized for the educational enjoyment of the outdoors we hoped it would become. Much work by the owners has been put in, to be fair, but Pinky needs more. And all efforts to save her appear exhausted with so many people involved at many levels to swap, save, rebuild, and relocate to no avail. Despite the hazards reported there, so does many a house in Newburyport have the same conditions, just not publicly known or reported, or in the state for that matter. It's a result from the same building products on the market at the time being used by the tradesmen everywhere. It's amazing when meeting people that want to discuss its problems, which are actually quite common, never discussing the wonder of the place. They can be forgiven, because they just don't know enough. Does anybody happen to remember by chance how much money, time, and effort was spent to clean up the seriously hazardous junkyard that sat untouched for years on the corner where the current Refuge Visitor Center sits? Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with the conclusion, part 8. Bye for now.